So you grew up in LA, you had enough and you left, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in the area. I've lived there pretty much my whole adult life, or at least 75% of it. So since 2010, that city has just completely crumbled, especially Santa Monica, Venice, downtown. As I mentioned in the email, I a couple years ago, unfortunately, had to spend some time on the street for a little while. So yeah, I would know pretty well what's going on. So
To give people an idea, so by goddamn mess, what are some things that you are fed up with that you're like on the fence, maybe going to leave LA forever?
So it's the blatant corruption, the socioeconomic disparity.
A lot of reasons why I decided to leave California in general. Uh, Everything from identity politics and politics to the traffic, overcrowding. Um, this is probably going to sound a little bit racist, but there's a huge illegal immigration problem there.
And the very first night, I park on the street and go to bed, come out the next morning, start my car, and it sounds like I started an airplane. And some guy had come, lifted my car.
Catalytic converter,
yeah. Very first night.
And forget about calling the police because they take like hours, okay? And so you got to just handle it yourself. It's like the Wild West, but with a bunch of people that don't want to work.
That's a good way to describe it.
Things actually happen in LA, and people turn a blind eye to it all the time. Like fights on the bus. I've been on fights on the bus at least once a year. When I lived out there was a fight on the bus, like in the back. And people act normal. Like they don't even look at it. They don't say, hey, stop it. Like they just like, don't mind your business. They got a strap. You don't want to do. I don't see nothing, hear nothing,
I mean, it's crazy expensive. It's, there's everybody, I'll run into all these people who like, they're fake people. I mean, I've been trying to kind of like get out and just kind of hang out at places, and it's just really expensive. It's several $100s just to go out for a night, So I remember from Pennsylvania, I remember it being much more cheaper. I remember it being like a better crowd of people.
there's two main problems with LA right now. It's completely inept and corrupt politicians. Incompetence would be the word that's going around. Unfortunately, people have been voting for liberal policies for the last 30, 40 years, and now you're starting to see the effects of those policies. Number two is, and the most pressing and important problem there, is the homeless situation. Not only is it a city problem, it's a societal crisis as well. These people, now here's what LA likes to do. They just like to keep throwing money and housing at the problem, thinking, well, if we build housing and if we put these people in to housing, that'll solve the problem. That's not going to solve the problem because you're not solving the core of the problem. The core of the problem is that these people have drug problems, alcohol problems. They come from very broken families. They have mental, there's schizos out there. There's people are not being helped. If anything, they're being forgotten. And I would know that because it happened to me. Thankfully, I met a pastor that gave a crap about me and gave me a chance. And I took that chance and I got off the street and made something of myself. But there's 90% of the people that will never get off of the street ever. And it's unfortunate. So I would say those are the two biggest problems that LA faces right now. I don't even want to get too into it, man, because I've seen too much. I've seen some not good stuff. Basically, to tell you the truth, say about 80%, especially if you go to Venice or Skid Row, you're going to see The Walking Dead. That's what you will see.
I've seen it. There's a video I shot when I drove around, just one part of it, and was like, everybody was like, holy shit, like this goes on for like a half a mile straight of tents in each direction. So why is it LA? I mean, I hear it's warm weather and they cater to the problem, meaning they give them water and booze and cigarettes and drugs and money, and they kind of keep them stabilized. Is that the truth? Like, why is LA is basically the bullseye for the homeless community of the whole country right now?
Because they make money off of it. That's why. And they want to make money off of it. It's funny. It's funny that you asked that question You know how many people I met from other states that either got out of jail or were suffering in whatever the state they were in, like, you know, and they got kicked out of their state because they don't put up with homeless. They all came to LA because they heard it's the land of milk and honey for the homeless. That's why. We have some of the best benefits. We give out like $234 in food benefits. You get $200 in GR, so that's $400 right there. There's this wonderful thing called Prop 47, where basically you can steal $900 a day from any store.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard of this, and not get caught. Or you can get caught, all they're going to do is write you a ticket and be like, come to court. And then you don't show up for court and you just do it all over again. I've met people from jail that specifically got out of jail from Arkansas or Mississippi or somewhere, and they just came out there because all their homies told them, hey, man, come out here. You can do whatever you want, dude. They don't trip, just do what you want. And they do. And they do.
$200 per what, week or month?
$200 a month for $234 for food, and then $200 a month for GR. Mm-hmm. So that's $400 a month, free money right there. And then a lot of these guys get disability or some sort of something from the state because of mental issues or something. So, I mean, there's a big black market out there too. Venice Beach had a big black market for guns, drugs, whatever. The Epoch Times has a channel on YouTube that talks about that as well. So they'll inform you of that. I mean, it's just like it's just the Wild West again, dude.
One time I talked to one of the homeless guys who was begging, and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to give you money, but can I just like ask you some questions? And I was like, so do you get money? Do you have an income? And he was like, yeah, the city gives me $1,500 every month. And I was like, well, what do you do with that? And he was like, I go to a hotel day one and I stay there for 3 days, 3 or 4 days. And then I've used up all my money. So I go back on the street. And I was like, why do you do that?
A homeless person in downtown LA gets $1,500 a month from the city.
He got $1,500 just handed to him. And I don't think they really regulated that at all, because it sounds like he just went and blew it on probably alcohol and like a hotel room to stay for a few nights. And then he was just back to the streets. But also, like, when we lived by the university, we would walk downtown a lot because any other direction you would walk in, you were going into a bad place. But if you walk downtown, it's kind of cleaned up. But anyway, you take, Figueroa that goes from USC into downtown street. Yeah, if you take Fig, you can go right downtown. But like as the months went by, there was like, you would walk down there and there'd be one camp. And then the next day there's another tent by it. And then pretty soon, like the whole sidewalk would be blocked by just tons of tents. And this is like the main road that leads to Staples Center. So I just wonder from like the city's point of view, don't you want like a pathway for people to like be able to walk to your athletic events and stuff going on in the city? And this is just the main entry road going into downtown, and they just don't have sidewalks that you can walk on. You had to walk into the street to get around to the tent city.
And there's nobody really patrolling it. The cops are not taking care of it because they're told not to. They're told not to. So, I don't know.
So I know what the incentive is for someone that's homeless to move to LA because they can live a lifestyle they want and make money and be able to survive. What's the incentive for the city and the county of Los Angeles to let them come do that? What do they benefit by allowing tens of thousands of homeless people to come and just crash for free?
Well, because then you get all this bureaucratic red tape. There was this proposition called Triple H or something like that. So basically, that was a big housing development contract. They've allocated none of the money. They've given it to only the people that work for that specific program. Basically, they're making money off of all the contractors. So off of all the people that are going to build the houses, all the zoning laws and everything like that. It's a little more complicated and a little more than I can explain. I just know that they kind of want it because also they want the voters to come in. That's why they want a lot of illegal immigrants to come in and a lot of homeless, because guess what? If you give them free money and you give them this and this and this, they're going to vote for Democrats. because
Oh,
they're
for
taking care of
sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, the voting thing. But like, I get you though. It almost seems like you set up the problem by look at all the homeless people we have. We need money to build homes for them. And then you can do
Right.
with that money as you wish and take
As you
10% or 50% off the top. And then
Absolutely.
it'll trickle down to places that like, I've heard that they're like the money that they've received and the amount of affordable housing that they've built. It's like, they've built like 200 homes and there's like 30,000 homeless people in the city.
That's another thing. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like 130 homes for like, oh, I
Right.
don't know what number they're giving you for the homeless. I would double or triple that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are out of public view that
You'll never see them.
that are in motels and cars and crashing with friends.
No, not even that, man. They're living in sewers. They're living in the woods. Like, I'm serious. Like, people live under bridges. People live like they do not want to be found. I know a lot of people like that. I met a lot of people like that. Like, hey, man, you never met me. Okay. Okay. I guess we never met. Like, that happens a lot too. So,
And they'll just go down to the office, get their check, go cash it,
yeah.
food
Right
and
there. And
booze
then,
for as long as you
it's
need
funny.
it.
A lot of guys I know, they'll stay in a hotel for a week and then they're dead broke for 3 weeks. They'll just use that money and then boom, they're back. Hustling. I don't get it. I don't get it either. But that's just
and that $400 a month plus the benefits plus the mental plus whatever else. That doesn't even take into account the panhandling and the stuff they're stealing too.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
The amount of homelessness, the fact that like there's an NBC interview on YouTube where I don't remember the guy's name, but he's interviewing Mayor Garcetti, and Mayor Garcetti's trying to explain why it cost $5 million in taxpayer revenue to build 39 tiny homes for homeless people, and even the interviewer is like, "You're full of shit. Like, you're full of shit. Like, it doesn't cost $5 million to build 39 tiny homes."
So did you have a lot of other people that you knew that are also leaving California?
Oh, a lot of people are leaving. I have a 23-year-old daughter that moved to Texas, and a whole bunch of friends that are just fleeing the state. Everyone's leaving.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some other reasons why friends and family are leaving that you know?
The homeless population is a problem. All of the riverbeds down there are full. I got a buddy that works in the water department, and they go and check those riverbeds and stuff, and it's always they got to clear it out full of homeless encampments, and so it's not just LA; it's pretty much widespread everywhere.
It's terrible. They cater to them. The city clearly. I didn't know they were giving them that much money. I heard in the hundreds of dollars a month, plus food and water and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to like a soup kitchen or a road home or something, you can get every meal and you can stay the night.
Which I'm fine with. Like, I mean, feed them and give them damn water, but big checks to go blow on hotel rooms and booze and cigarettes. It's like, no, like that's just crazy. It's no reason. It's no wonder so many people are flocking to Los Angeles to live that lifestyle, because it's just like this big open pocketbook. Just come here and we'll give you whatever you want.
Also, I've heard that other cities and states will actually buy like bus tickets or even plane tickets to ship the homeless down here. I don't think it's fair at all.
No, they give them a one-way ticket. Like, where do you want to go? And everyone says LA, and they'll be like, all right, cool.
Let's ship them back.
Did you ever get in it? If you could summarize the mental, I guess, justification of the homeless people that you met, is there one type of mentality that all these people have that you met that are like, it's just people from all walks of life that have a different reason
they come from everywhere, everything. You got guys like me that just made bad decisions and let alcohol take over their life. You have people that want to be out there. You have people who are batshit crazy, and just that's the way they want to live because they can't just function in a regular society. Yeah. You have kids. I've met homeless teens out there that are running away from abuse, running away from broken homes, running away from whatever. And they just can't handle the bad foster families or whatever. No, there's such a dichotomy of people out there. You meet, I met some of the nicest. It's funny, like there's such camaraderie on the street still. Like people really like the homeless. They band with each other because they have to, and they work with each other, man. I mean, like a lot of their relationships are dysfunctional, but at the end of the day, like they really do care for each other because that's all they have. Kind of at the end of the day, it's just really unfortunate. But you won't meet anybody and everybody on the street, so that's another thing that people get wrong about the homeless. They're not all like whacked out of their heads and all that stuff. Some of these people are just like you and me, or used to be anyways. So
is there a successful, like, efficient way to even handle this?
well, as I mentioned before, again, people aren't addressing the core problem. So what people really need to do, I mean, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to have a tough conversation with people like the politicians, everything. And when you build housing for these people, you're going to have to set some boundaries and some rules. And so pretty much when these people go to these housings, they just get to do whatever they want. They still get to drink, they still get to do drugs. They don't go to therapy. That's the problem. So I would say I'm sorry, but you're going to have to make these people go to therapy, figure out their problems. I know it's hard. I know it's tough. The homeless advocate people don't like to do that because, human rights or whatever. It's just a huge political problem. Is there any city that's really taking care of it properly in California? I would say maybe Orange County, but their solution to Orange County is go to LA. We don't want you here. Go to LA. So no, the answer would be no. Sorry.
What about in the nation? Is there like a city that you may know of across the country that's doing an effective job at solving its homeless issue or problem?
I hear Austin. See, Austin would be a good. They're cracking down. They're tired of it. Their citizens said, no, you're not allowed to camp anymore. We're not going to take this anymore. Now, what they're doing about the mental mental health side of it, I'm trying to get it, and the drug problem, that I don't know, but it seems like Austin is the first city that I've really seen that said, we're not taking this anymore. So maybe look into Austin, see what they're doing. But we know Seattle's a mess. San Francisco's out of control. San Diego's falling through the cracks. And well, we all know about LA and New York. So Chicago, I don't know. I don't know. It's a nationwide problem. It's not just a California problem. It's a societal problem.
What good is 39 tiny homes going to do anyway? There's literally like 30,000 people in LA County that are living on the streets. Most of them by choice. Some of them couldn't afford rent and are in transition. But most of those people don't sleep in tents in the filth. They're in motel rooms in their cars, like out of sight. So for the county to say like, oh, a lot of the people are, we're not attracting and catering to the homeless, that's not true, because they wouldn't be there living on the streets if they weren't giving them breadcrumbs and beer and tents and cigarettes and motel rooms and weed and heroin and free places to shoot up and hope that they can continue to live their life like that forever. I just that alone. Now, like the homeless thing in LA, it's kind of like, okay, it's an eyesore and it's ugly and it makes you feel bad about living there because there's people with tents and just living that lifestyle. And it kind of angers people because they're like, why do they get to do that when I have to struggle? But there's also like a safety concern too, where you've got like, you've got people that are just stealing and robbing to support their habits. For you, is like the homeless thing, is it a little bit of all of them? Is it like the fact that you see this stuff everywhere, or do you feel unsafe by it?
I feel unsafe by it, but only because like one, we're in a pandemic and like there's all the contact and close contact and whatnot. And two, like before the pandemic even started, there was an outbreak of tuberculosis in Skid Row, and the police knew about it, and the police were just like, we can't do anything about it. Like, and it's just, it's so insane to me because like, I'm very privileged. I'm very fortunate. I grew up in a part of the country where like seeing a homeless person stuck out like a sore thumb, especially because like, Maine, we have harsh winters. So it's like no one, if you're outside in the wintertime, like you're probably going to die. Whereas in LA, like, I think it has to do with the weather a lot. Like people get so focused on like, what's going to make me like 100% perfectly comfortable as opposed to what can I do to survive and assess my needs and be a little bit comfortable, and then what can I do to give back and like make other people comfortable. I don't know about anybody else, like this to me is just a human quality, but seeing other people suffer makes me really, really sad and uncomfortable. And like you touched on, like you know, I like to work hard. I like to provide to my community. I like the job that I do. I'm not at all a lazy person, but it absolutely gets discouraging to contribute to a community like Los Angeles, where you constantly are seeing people who did do the right things, and then one economic decision happened or something happened, and then they're on the street, and that's it. And like, it's so sad to see that, because it's like, to me, I'm like, okay, like I have to hustle at work because otherwise I'm going to be on the street. And, you know, like at least having the appearance of like a city council that gives a shit, like that would make me feel a little bit more relaxed. I wouldn't feel like I'm just constantly suffocating and I have to just work the hardest I possibly can so I don't end up on the street. That's how I perceive it anyway. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
How much of the problem with Southern California is from the government?
Well, I think it's pretty much all from the government. I think it's a direct reflection on the government. You know, I think California's broke, you know, and that's because they misallocate their funds. And that's going to, it's a sanctuary state, I believe, since 2017. And, you know, you're helping people that aren't even citizens of our country, you know, and I know that I didn't vote for that. And nobody I know has voted for that. It's kind of a crazy thing that they're doing. But it's not just that, you know, it's the roads, it's Caltrans, it's, you know, during the day they do like on the big freeway systems, they'll have a street sweeper and cause hours of traffic for nothing. Why are you sweeping this freeway in the daytime? You know, that doesn't make any sense. Now do that at night when there's not as many people out there. In fact, out in the LA area, if you were to wear a Trump shirt or something like that, you know, or even any kind of ideology supporting the right wing, you know, you'll be chastised. You know, I'm not allowed to say what you feel or have an opinion in that matter. You know?
So what happened to LA that made it not good anymore, like in your opinion? Like, I mean,
yeah, just continuing to vote for Democratic policies. That seems to be the main trickle down effect here. I know. Oh my goodness, LA just kind of, it seems like it wants to do this to itself. To tell you the truth, that's kind of what it seems. Kind of just you know, as you know, Hollywood is the big cultural hub of pretty much the world. So what's going on in Hollywood is really, really perturbing to me. And what I mean is like the whole social justice thing. Like you can't even watch TV without being told that you're a piece of crap if you're a white guy or something. Like it's just ridiculous. I can't watch Marvel movies anymore. I can't watch Star Wars movies anymore. It's just ridiculous. So LA just really has, it seems to have an agenda to just want to burn itself down right now. I can't explain why. I don't know why. It used to be, like I said, everybody probably until, I remember when I was in college, like everybody wanted to be here. And if like the last 5 or 6 years, everybody wants to get the hell out. And that's a first. So I don't know, man. It's just, I wish I had the correct words. I mean, I don't know. I left because I saw the writing on the wall, and that city's going to be, by the end of the decade, you won't recognize it anymore. You won't.
So as a landlord in Los Angeles, how inflated are the prices and outrageous for people that want to move out there and try to rent?
It really depends on the area, but like even in like the bad areas, like in South Central, it's like this is a pretty rough area of town. I had a place out there for a bit because that was the cheap side of town, and I had a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it was like a duplex, so it was kind of like a house, but not really. And that was costing me $2,000 a month. And if you go to like a decent neighborhood, so I'm out in West Hollywood right now. This neighborhood, I would say it's kind of hard to piece together because personally, for my place, it's $3,500 a month, but I know that's because I kind of got to negotiate with the property owner. But the average out here, as far as I'm aware, I think is about probably like 45 to like 5,000 a month, and that's an insane amount of money for a place. It's insane. I mean, so
who can afford that? Who can justify that? I don't understand.
I mean, if you pop on Zillow and you check out the neighborhood that's near Melrose, Fairfax, and La Brea, and Santa Monica, which is the neighborhood I'm in right now. If you just look at that kind of block, there are houses in this neighborhood that rent for over $16,000 a month, and it's that's an insane amount of money. I mean, nice house, don't get me wrong, but like I don't understand how you could have a neighborhood where it's like multiple homes that are like that, and it's these are just average houses. They don't have giant yards. They don't have, it's not like a 5-story building or something crazy. It's a regular 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. So it's insane. I mean, personally, the way I'd want to rent things is I'd want to look at like 1/4 of somebody's income, because if you do 1/4 of their income, you would be able to do 1 check for rent, 1 check for food, 1 check for transportation, and then 1 check for them to put their money in savings. And that seems like that would be a healthy way of doing things, but you just can't do that in LA because of just how high the prices are, and it's nuts. I don't think it's healthy. I'm surprised it's been able to sustain this high for so long on the prices, but I don't know. I mean, it feels like some weird bubble that just doesn't want to pop.
Yep, it's popping. LA's gonna pop.
We want a backyard. That's really important to us, and we're not paying $600,000 for a shack. So
No.
my boyfriend works really hard. It's not like Californians, we all rely on the government, blah blah blah. Like he works 7 days a week sometimes, and we don't want to live in a shack if we're out there working that much, And I don't think a lot of people do, and that's why I think people are just moving out.
Mm-hmm. And you know what they're doing is the people that are there that live in the really expensive shacks, they've had those homes forever. And when they sell them, they go to another state with $800,000 and they can buy whatever they want with a huge yard and stuff that would be like $3 million in the LA area. They're getting for like $500,000 in like a beautiful state, whether it's quiet and peaceful. And they're like, I just wish I would have done this years ago. Like, I can't believe I waited this long to like improve my life.
There's other reasons, economical reasons, like the housing costs, like we're paying $2,400 a month for our home. And then you add in electric and gas, trash, water, all the utilities, and you're spending a small fortune every month. My wife makes, I don't know, probably about $90,000 a year, and I was making about $75,000 a year, and it's still tough.
Wow, you guys are pulling in $165 a year, and you were not paycheck to paycheck, but saving, but not like on the level you should be when you're making $165,000 a year as a couple.
Right.
That's just crazy. And your mortgage was like $2,500 a month?
Yeah, $2,400.
And you got to have cars. Both you and your wife had to have a car. The gas prices. Were your property taxes bad there?
Yeah, everything's expensive. The property taxes. What I noticed after coming here to North Carolina is my property taxes are way cheaper. My mortgage is literally $650 a month.
And you're in the mountains and you don't have people around, traffic and graffiti. And
there's no such thing as traffic or graffiti or gangs where we're at now.
I totally imagined raising my family here, but no way, not anymore.
No, and Venice is just one example of areas in LA that are all jacked up. I mean, downtown is just completely gone at this point. You know, the
Mhm.
west side's too expensive. The south side is actually pretty cleaned up. I'm talking like Watts, Compton, all that stuff, but it's just so expensive, and you cannot justify spending $600,000 on a shack in Watts or Inglewood or even Long Beach, because it's just really not that nice.
Yeah.
And then everything on the east end is same thing, really, actually. You can get up into the valley and finally get out of it, but who can afford Burbank or Glendale or any of that? I mean, that's just like, now we're talking $1 million for a house.
Yeah, and that's no backyard. That's just a nice kitchen or something.
And your house might burn down too.
So it's like a mix of like really expensive and really broke. It's like it just doesn't go right, you know? You have to have really low standards to be happy, you know? Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Like nowhere else in the world that I've ever lived, people are this mean, people are this callous, people are just like constantly turning the blinders on and bragging about like how many like diamond necklaces they have, or like the fact that they just bought a Tesla while like there's literally like a tent city next to them. And it's just horrible. I mean, it's just like there are people with excess, and then there are people who like just want to live in an environment that's safe, and like there's not that. Like there's an entire half of the city that's just blatantly ignored by the people who have stuff.
A lot of my boyfriend's family members that live in other states, they're so successful. They have their own business. Even my own cousin lives in Iowa in Des Moines, and he has his own cement company, and he leaves his car unlocked, and he just seems so happy. And whenever he comes to LA, he feels like he has to look everywhere around him. You know, it's just overcrowdedness. And I've been jumped in LA on the bus. You see fights on the bus. You see people doing drugs in a lot of places. I went down to LA to visit some family, and it looks like it's just getting worse and worse. You know, if you're poor, it's not so bad to be in California, you know, just because you get free healthcare and food stamps, but you have to be making very little money. And even then, it's like you're renting a room inside a shack type of thing, you know? So you get some free stuff, but you just have to be okay with living kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's almost like you're incentivized to make a lot of money or like no money if you want to live in the LA area, because if you don't make, like you said, if you're poor and you don't have anything, they'll just give it to you, and that upsets a lot of people who are working, because they look around and they're like, why are they getting hooked up with food stamps and welfare and homeless tents and cigarettes and beer and drugs when they didn't earn it?
You know, people are super snobby. I grew up in a small town in Maine where everyone's just like more laid back. Like even like the wealthiest people in the town I'm from, they'll invite you over. They'll have like an apple cider night. Like they don't care like what kind of house you live in. Here it's like you get judged by the clothes you're wearing, what your hairstyle is, like what brand you're wearing, what car you drive. So it's always in your face. Like there's no escaping it.
To me, the way that the state has handled it, it's like a misallocation of the funds, like you had mentioned, the healthcare, housing, food stamps, they're taking advantage of that. And, it's not just limited to Hispanic culture. It's a lot of different cultures that are taking advantage of that. I felt like I was a foreigner in my own country. You got to press 2 for English, or there's signs everywhere in foreign languages. And, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I noticed too about the Hispanic culture in Los Angeles? They're very quiet, you know, they're very like submissive, like, okay, we have to get the vaccine, like let's just get it, let's not cause any problems, like, you know, and that's almost like a problem, you know? It's I don't even know if this is legal, but they're very like they just want to be almost like in the closet. They don't want to cause too much attention. And my mom was like that, you know? And there would literally be like tables and like stands to I don't know what they were doing, but when I was little, they would tell them to vote Democrat and stuff. And, you know, they're like, okay, whatever. Like they kind of go with the flow, and it's almost like a problem. But I noticed that children that are born here from immigrants, they kind of lean a little red, even if they're from California.
Why do you think that is?
Mm, I guess because I'm not okay with a lot of things, you know. I I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I guess because I see how expensive things are, you know, and I don't think I don't agree with how like food stamps are given out. I think it's a little weird, you know. I just think the system is kind of set up to fail you. I guess because I was in the system for a long time too, you know. And I just don't want that for my children. I don't want my children to be so like bow down, just, you know, just do it. Just, I want them to have a little bit of a backbone, you know?
Yeah, not
Yeah.
be so dependent and submissive, and take action and be responsible for how you want to live your life. And you can go anywhere and do anything. You don't have to be held back and catered to, and basically just held to a certain standard where you're dependent, right? If you were in charge, you know, you've complained about the city council a lot. A lot of people complain about California's government. They got a recall coming up next week. What would you do? I mean, is there an easy solution to this that they're not doing to make Los Angeles a better place?
I really don't think the answer is easy. I think it's anything but. I mean, this is my lifestyle. I tend to be minimalist. I tend to only buy the things that I absolutely need. And I try to stay away from luxury and comfort, and like only get it when like I'm really stressed out and like I really just need to like let off some steam or whatever. But it's just, I mean, it's this ingrained culture of excess that's absolutely affirmed. I used to work for E! News, and like E! News, it's like we're just constantly cranking out the propaganda of like, oh, if like you just get this kind of makeup, or if you do your hair this way, or you get this dress, like your life will be so much better and you'll always be happy, and the void inside of you is always going to be filled. And there's such an attachment to that materialism that I really think what it comes down to is like we need to elect people who are like literally like, you know, you're gonna pay me this amount of money to do this job, but I'm gonna like give back like 30% of what I'm making to help out. Like it's gonna take people who actually see through the bullshit and see through like I need to have a 75-inch OLED TV or like a new like $200,000 car or whatever. And you know, it's going to be hard because like literally how politics work in this country, especially in California, is like you buy your way into the job that you have because you have to buy the marketing. But you know, it's just if there's a way to find and put focus and spotlighting on people who are minimalists and like devoutly minimalist, not just saying they're minimalist to get Instagram likes and all that shit, like that's the answer. And I know that's super idealistic, but it's like we need like hardcore like Buddhists. Like we're all gonna die someday, so let's try to decrease suffering as much as we can.
So you literally left the LA area, sold your house, moved to a mountain town in North Carolina. Your lifestyle's way cheaper. You don't have any of the drama and BS all around you. Do you wish you would have done this sooner, Jason?
Yes. Boy, I kind of hate to say this, you know, over the internet or something, but this is a hidden gem. It really is. You know, number one, it's beautiful here. There's rivers, lakes everywhere. Everybody that I've met is so friendly, and I chalk that up to, you know, the way of life here. You know, you don't have the day-to-day normal stressors, you know, that you do in LA or bigger cities, you know, with everyone crammed on top of each other.
Yeah, man. And it's just going to get worse. I mean, people are leaving more and more. Los Angeles is never going to be the same. You ever going to go back to California, you think, Jason?
No, I don't. There's not much draw. I have a lot of friends and family left there, but maybe I'd go back for a visit. Maybe, other than that, I'm trying to get people to come here and visit me.
Hey guys, so if anything I just talked about upset you or made you sad or mad, well then do something about it. Call your local leaders and demand change. Chip in and help those in need. Make your community better, because communities don't get better without hard work and determination. America's a great place. It just needs some more love and pride.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.
And are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. You can get my email in the description to find out how I can help you find your perfect relocation.